All right. So, very good morning, good evening to all of you who are joining us from different parts of the world. My name is Devesh Lathi, and I represent the Next Genius Foundation. And you're all here to learn about summer schools and summer schools at in the US, summer schools at Stanford, Northwestern, Amherst, and some fantastic colleges and universities in the US. In this session, joining us is Miss Katie Lagana from Great Book Summer Program, and she's going to share with us uh, about the fantastic programs that they have been running for over 20 years now. And many of our students have benefited from one of their programs in the past. They have come back to us sharing how exceptional their experience has been. Uh, when students and parents ask me, what are the benefits of attending a summer school? Uh, I share with them these few things. Number one is when you plan for college and when you plan to go abroad or when you plan to go outside, out of your home for university, you will actually be gone for 4 years. You will be by yourself for 4 years of your undergraduate degree. Yeah. When you're 18, all of a sudden, when you gain that experience of living by yourself, a lot of students and parents might find it challenging. So, a summer school is a great way to sort of take that first step towards independence and experience what education abroad is can be all about. So that's one of the reasons is building that independence and learning and gaining that exposure, gaining that cultural exposure, and learning how to do things by yourself. Apart from that, of course, when you attend programs like these, you meet students from around the world. You meet students uh, from various countries, and it will help you build a perspective. You will end up making many, many friends. You will meet students from many different countries that you would not have met had you not attended a program like this. So recently, I was asking one of the parents of a students who sent their child for a summer school like this last year, and they shared that while the learning was great and the activities were fantastic, what their child really enjoyed, what the son really enjoyed was making those friends, and they still keep in touch with those friends who came to that summer program from different parts of the world. And third thing is, which is the most important also, is learning something new. When you attend a summer program like this, you end up learning something which is usually not taught in a classroom. You end up learning academics, you end up learning a subject, or you get a specialization in uh, a program which you would not have learned in your high school. So summer programs actually add a lot of value to you as an individual. And not just that, they also add a lot of value to your college application profile in showcasing that you are ready for college and that you are ready to go to the college. So those were my two bits before I pass it on to Katie. Katie has been leading the international admissions at Great Books and Great Books Summer Program, and they run some exceptional programs at Stanford, Northwestern, Amherst College, amongst other places. Uh, so learn about them, learn about the programs, and she will also tell us about how all of you can uh, sign up for one of these programs. Yeah. So over to you, Katie. It's a pleasure to have you here on our call, and we are looking forward to learning more.
Thank you. I am looking forward to sharing. Let me share my screen. I've been with Great Books for over a decade and have had the great pleasure of watching Great Books grow over the past 20 years. My children have come to Great Books. So I, invite you to ask some questions along the way as well. I will talk about what we do at Great Books, what makes us unique and special, and what might be beneficial to, to you if you're a student, or your students if you're an educator or a counselor. Um, just Here we go. At Great Books, as I said, we've been doing this this is actually our 23rd summer. At Great Books, students develop critical thinking skills, close reading skills. I won't read you the whole slide, but the real point of difference in what we do at Great Books is how we teach, using literature as a catalyst in our core Great Books and Big Ideas programs, which we'll talk a little bit about, and really giving students that place where they can dive into a new way to look at not just literature. It begins with literature here, that's our training tool, but really it's a new way to look at any piece of information that is in front of you, whether it's nonfiction that you're, reading to prepare for some exams in the STEM world, or it is information that you're taking in as a future engineer at your job and needing to collaborate and lead your peers on a project. And we do all of this in an environment that is ungraded, which we think is really key for students to have that experience, to be in a place where they can stretch themselves intellectually without worrying about, is what I'm going to say the right answer? Am I going to get an A for this? But turning the focus on internal growth and embracing the intellectual challenge and maybe the social challenge that they will face in the university classroom as they're in their new environment, and part of their grade depends on being able to respond within a discussion in a classroom and interact with a professor, which can seem like a very intimidating figure if you've not been in that style of classroom before. But students who come to Great Books get that experience and get to walk away with having had a successful experience at university before university, which really breaks down the barriers as you enter it formally after you graduate from high school. We have three main kinds of programs at Great Books. The Great Books and Big Ideas program is our core program where it all began over 20 years ago. We use literature um, as a training tool to build critical thinking skills, to build discussion skills, to teach you how to engage in a lively classroom conversation where you'll be challenged to look at the information before you and cultivate a deeper meaning together, led by a professor or PhD candidate who's currently teaching at the undergraduate level. So you're getting that real leveled up college experience. You're sitting at a university, you're in the classroom, you're being led by a professor or, again, a PhD candidate who's currently teaching at the undergraduate level, and you're engaging in civil discourse. It is a conversation that you'll be challenged to use textual evidence to bolster your opinions. It is the kind of training that students need to succeed in the environment in the future. And also, it's the basis for good academic writing, the kind of thinking that we do at Great Books. We also have select weeks on two of our campuses that are writers' workshops. So if you're a writer who's currently working on your novel, or you simply want to brush up and get some additional skills, some arrows in your quiver that will help you in building your future college essays, it's a great place to check in if your schedule allows for a writer's workshop week in addition to some time in the Great Books and Big Ideas program. We also have literary travel programs. I'll breeze really quickly over those. We have a program in Oxford, which is full at this moment, and Dublin, and we do have some limited space if you're interested in heading to Edinburgh, Scotland with us. What we do there is a combination of the thinking skills that we do in our traditional Great Books program, but we add some exploration of the city and the surround, and just some cultural travel there. This is what a typical day looks like at Great Books. We have the core program, Great Books and Big Ideas over here on the left, and the writer's workshop. You can see they're pretty parallel. Um, you can ask me questions about this later, but I really wanted you to see the structure. We start with some core academic blocks in the morning following our camp meeting. Part of Great Books is fun summer camp. We do have time for fun and friends. We started an all camp meeting, which contains one of our fun summer camp traditions of competition for the hideous cup of poetry across our campuses. And in that, you will perform or compete as a group, your pod, which is the group of about 8 students, same gender, that are grouped together for study purposes, for just your little family while at camp. You'll live with those other students in the dormitory on a hallway with your counselor, who we call a program assistant, because they're really more than a camp counselor. They're a serious academic mentor for you, helping you prepare each evening. You see that we end our day with informal pod discussions, and about 6 o'clock we have some reading time. That's when your program assistant is really helping you prepare for the next day. They've also sat in on your classes, so they can be a wonderful support and offer you maybe the encouragement that you need or the constructive criticism that might help you deepen your engagement with the Great Books conversation in your next days of classes. You'll also see in the afternoons we do have some electives, so you do have some choice, and can engage in arts electives, theater, visual art, creative writing, music on most of our campuses, and probably a little bit of a misnomer for literature electives. It's actually a wider swath of subject matter. We may be talking about Euclidean geometry, we may be talking about ethics and AI. We may be looking at Southern Gothic literature. You'll have some choices. You get to decide, where you'll spend that afternoon time. And in the evenings, you may have seen we have some evening events too. We have a dance, we have some other fun activities, theater games, scavenger hunts, and we bring in some incredible guest speakers. We've had several Pulitzer Prize winners. Chris Columbus, who is the producer, director on many of the Harry Potter films and other films that maybe your parents might know. But the biggest difference at Great Books is that professor, that person at the front of your classroom in the morning who is really there to help you gain experience in that college classroom and to push you and challenge you to engage deeply in that class and take some academic risks, the kind that really drive your growth. Um, and I'll share some stories as we go on in this presentation from some other former students, and I may throw in some stories of my own from my oldest, who is, currently studying to be a robotics engineer and considers her time at Great Books pretty pivotal, and particularly her ability to spend time with professors of the caliber that we'll put in front of you. Dr. Stavins, who you see here, is a longtime Amherst professor, a chaired professor, co-founder of the program. Wes, who is teaching at Amherst this summer, is currently a professor at Fordham. He's a graduate of Harvard, has spent time teaching at Princeton. It's really a host of wonderful people that will intellectually challenge you during your experience. We're on several campuses. We'll run through them quickly. I want to be sure I leave time for questions. The programs are pretty parallel on the campuses. Amherst and Stanford are our 2 biggest programs. They are the campuses where, if you're interested, you could also join us for a writer's workshop week. I do recommend, particularly as a student who's traveling internationally, that you stay with us for at least 2 weeks. You could come for 1 week. You can come up to 4 weeks if you come to, a longer campus, 3 weeks at Amherst, 4 weeks at, 3 weeks at Stanford, 4 weeks at Amherst. I strongly recommend, and you can speak to your counselors, that a minimum of a 2-week program is best for, some market growth while you're with us. The particular writers' workshop weeks are noted at Haverford and Northwestern, a little bit of smaller programs for us. If you're looking for kind of a more intimate group of perhaps 30 in your cohort rather than 60 in your cohort at our larger Amherst and Stanford programs, these might be the places for you. Again, they're all pretty parallel, so it really depends on what fits best in your schedule. And oftentimes families might choose based on what type of university experience you want to have. Both Amherst and Haverford are sort of the quintessential liberal arts college campuses, smaller campuses where you really get that kind of brick and ivy feel that you'd have if you were going to most any kind of college in the northeastern part of the US, whether you were looking at, Yale, which maybe is a little slightly more urban environment, but same kind of feel, Wesleyan, Wellesley, all of those great schools feel pretty similar on the campuses, and this is where you get that feeling. If you're thinking of a bigger research university and want to know what it's like to spend time on that style of campus, Stanford or Northwestern are great choices for that, university experience. And we do have some students who hop from campus to campus so they can get a feeling of multiple campuses when they experience great books in a given summer or across a couple of summers. So it's really up to you. There's no wrong or right answer. The programs are parallel from campus to campus. If you are interested in a little bit more of a European cultural adventure, coming to Scotland with us will be a really fun time in Scotland. We will engage with some Scottish authors as well across our other campuses, our domestic campuses. You'll read a wider array of authors. You'll read pieces across genre and time and culture so that you can walk away with the confidence of having had experience looking at nonfiction, looking at philosophy, looking at short stories, looking at some poetry, looking at an excerpt of a novel. For reading a longer piece, it's typically an excerpt, so that we can dive into some really wonderful conversation. We choose our texts based on the rich conversation that will come from them. It's not designed to trudge you through hundreds of pages every day. It's really designed to train you how to think. That is the goal with us. As mentioned before, our programs in Oxford and Dublin are currently full and waitlisting, so we'll breeze over those. If you have an interest, you can ask me some questions about those. Um, we also have an online program that we run in the summer. If you're unable to travel, or if you returned from your Great Books travels and you just haven't had enough and want to join for more weeks, we do get some students who do that as well. And I'm going to pause here. I'll let you read, if you're interested, a couple of statements from these two students. I have one more page. I've cruised through this intentionally quickly so I can answer your questions and maybe preempt some of your questions and throw out some more information to you. But these are just two of the many students who have come to Great Books. As I've noted to you, it may be called Great Books, but literature is really just the catalyst for us. It's the training tool. What we do at Great Books is help you ignite the life of the mind, that ability to think critically at whatever material you're looking at, the ability to collaborate with your peers, to come to a bigger, broader understanding and lead those kinds of conversations. And I mentioned I tell my own stories. I think, one of the biggest advantages for my daughter, my oldest, who is now in her second year at WPI, Worcester Polytech, for robotics engineering, is that amongst her, very STEM oriented cohort, she is an incredibly articulate young person in conversations and has been tapped several times to lead projects. She would say precisely because it's what she practiced at Great Books. And Nicole here was one of the first who, pointed out to us that what we do at Great Books is what's done at the beginning of many pre-med programs as well. It's really again, that training to take the information in front of you and to be able to synthesize that, to think on your feet and collaborate with others to come to points of action. And, just a couple more of my favorite great books, success stories. Our students go on to do any number of things. And you think about studying literature and don't naturally think about what it may add to your career as a chief technology officer. But these are at many levels the same skills, and really quite wonderful place to do some fantastic training and have that experience. And for those of you who are thinking, as was mentioned early in the conversation about all of the big things that come with being away from home for the first time, perhaps being in a different country, alone for the first time. At Great Books, one of our points of difference is the really close community that you'll build with us when you are invited to that pod of 8 or so students your age. You will have a strong leader and friend in your program assistant, right down to teaching you not just where the laundry room is, but I've taught, numbers of kids as an administrator how to do laundry. We go to the cafeteria and learn how to navigate that together. All of the parts of campus life that you will need to jump into when you head to university. You can get a little bit of practice and some guided practice while at Great Books. And we are 100% chaperoned. So you'll be with your group. You'll have a set of peers traveling around with you all of the time, which I think is, a really warm and friendly way to have a first university experience and have it sort of be scaffolded and supported. And that's it. I'm going to stop sharing my screen and I will look to my host for some guidance, but I am happy to take as many questions as you have. I
Fantastic.
do see,
Sorry.
sure, I do see one question sent perhaps directly to me. Is this program only for literature students? I can't see the time that you sent that, so I think I've probably answered it, but I do want to underscore this is not a program just for literature students. In fact, if you love literature, it's great. The requirement for coming to Great Books, really in terms of being, of the right mindset, is that you are a hungry learner. You're eager to improve and advance your own thinking skills. You don't have to love reading literature. You do have to love academic challenge. That's key. I think that's key to life. If you're headed to university, that's an important aspect to embrace growth and challenge and change. That's what's common about all of our Great Book students.
Yeah.
From where, can you see these questions as well, or are they being sent just to me?
No, they're coming directly to you.
Great. Okay. So from where will the students be attending from? Fantastic question. And I think one of the nice points about Great Books as well, typically on any given campus, 20 to 30% of our students are international students. And the other 70%, I'll say, maybe 65% plus 5% Canadians are from the United States. So it's, a nice cohort of students that, might parallel what we'll see at university with a heavy American presence. And the students who come to us internationally, I would say 2/3 of them are from mainland China and Hong Kong, and the other, let's say it was a 30% week rather than a 20% for easy math. The other 10% will be from, perhaps, India and Europe combined. And let's see another question. Can I please provide a brief about Great Books again? I'll give you a really brief. This is our 23rd summer we're heading into. We are the program for you if you're interested in growing your critical thinking, close reading skills, your ability to take in information, whether it's in preparation for a career across the board in the humanities, or as the lead engineer, at a very big company. We essentially help teach you how to think, not what to think, but how to think and how to collaborate with others within a group and step into leadership in that group to come to a greater understanding and move a conversation forward. What would be the whole process of the camp? And is this a scholarship-based program? We may have a scholarship opportunity or a partial scholarship opportunity coming up for the program at Northwestern. I'll just plant that seed. You should speak with the hosts of this conversation about those possibilities for you. And the process of registration for the camp, again, you should speak to the hosts about the registration, having them help you or support you through the registration process. But essentially, with their support and endorsement, they will be, looking at you as a scholar to determine your readiness for the program, if this is something that's a good match to the level of challenge that you are ready for. And if that's determined to be a good match, we are working well above grade level at Great Books. So it's essential that you come prepared for the level of academic challenge that we'll provide. We look to put together a cohort of students who are ready to rise to that challenge because the composition of the group is very important to building that lively classroom where diverse ideas will come in and really will challenge each other to think more deeply. So if that is a match for you, the process beyond that is fairly straightforward. You simply need to go through the registration process, which is some web forms to fill out, and place a deposit of, a small deposit with the remainder due, I believe in April. And we will save your spot for you on campus and look forward to helping you plan to arrive. Let's see, could I collaborate on the full scholarship that a few get from India? I'm going to defer to following up with the host. That scholarship information will be available, I suspect, in about a week. So you can register your interest for that scholarship information. Again, it is a partial scholarship, so you will be responsible for travel and a good part of your tuition as well. And I have one more question, and great, registration link. Let me get that over to you. I will pop that in the chat. And here we go. I'm going to throw the registration link here. But really, I'm also going to recommend that if you are going to get to the registration link, it drives you straight to the registration link, which if you're ready for that is fantastic. Otherwise, go to the main website and you will see a link to register in orange at the top. So that's a great way to jump in. You can also see the full list of programs and dates. Fantastic. Yes, that orange register now at the top is the quickest way in to get to that registration form. Once you've filled out that registration form, if you, for some reason, don't complete it, you will have an account created for you, a family dashboard account. So once you click through that again, you'll be prompted, if you have an account already, to log into the parent dashboard, which if you scroll to the bottom of the homepage, there's also a link directly to that in the footer. Perfect. Right there under links, parent dashboard. Thank you for the screen share. I appreciate that. And you can log in from there, to complete the application if you're returning. Perhaps you needed to clarify a date or something and you need to go back in. But it's really straightforward, not designed to be difficult. Once you get the nod that you're an academic match from our hosts here, the process is straightforward. We also will help with transportation from the airport. So you'll receive information about your arrival times. You need to arrive the day your program starts, which is a Sunday. And you will be advised to arrive between a set arrival time where we'll be able to transport you from that local airport to the campus for an additional fee, and we will return you in the same way. And for parents and families who are listening, it's a really easy process for students to navigate. We work with, we arrive in airports that are either small or well-tuned to allowing us to be able to pick up students right from the baggage claim area. You will know in advance who is picking you up as a student. You'll have their phone number, a picture, and they'll be there wearing a lovely Great Books shirt so that you can easily identify who you are meeting up with, and fully chaperoned with professional drivers. Um, I'm a parent too. I know that attention to detail, to know that your student is arriving safely into good hands is key, and we help hundreds, thousands of students over the years do that same transition. Great. I don't think I have any. I see one more question. What are some activities or classes that we'll be taking? Um, it's pretty parallel amongst the campuses. You will have, when you arrive on campus, you will have a theme to your week. Because we read such a diverse set of literature across a week, it generally converges on a singular theme. The themes vary by campus and week. I discourage you to think about the theme too much in your decision process, um, because really it's just one cohesive element, and you're going to enjoy more literature than you might even expect if I told you the list in advance, which I won't, because I think it distracts from that you're coming there to learn, and whether it's via a piece by Shakespeare, or you prefer your philosophy to come from David Hume. Doesn't matter. The intellectual exercise is the same. So you will, participate in two morning seminars, which dive deeply into the literature selections that you're given the day before, and will digest with your group in part in the evenings, as well as some independent preparation as well. And in the afternoons, you will have those arts electives classes, music, visual art, theater, um, or creative writing, and as well as a general elective, which could be literature based. It could be a deep dive into slam poetry. It could be a deep dive into, as I mentioned before, the ethics of artificial intelligence. Could be something related to math. You'll have some agency in choosing that each Sunday as a new week begins. If you stay multiple weeks, which I do recommend, none of the topics are repeated, though the same structure of each day, remains consistent from week to week. And we also do some fun activities in late afternoons and evenings. You get some free time. If you go to a smaller campus like Amherst, you can actually walk with your group to the small downtown area. It is laughably small, very quaint New England town, very indicative of this part of the country in the US. If you're at Stanford or Northwestern with us, you'll spend time probably solely on the campus. At Northwestern, maybe you'll go to the beach on the Great Lake. One of the Great Lakes is adjacent to the Evanston campus where we are. So you get to see, I think a pretty beautiful part of the United States. If you're on the Stanford campus, you'll probably spend some time looking at some of the features of the campus. They have a Rodin sculpture garden, and some really just lovely places to hang out and get a flavor of what college life is like.
Katie, what kind of visa do the students need to get to attend the programs
Uh,
in the US?
Sure, good question. It's just a tourist visa, because this isn't a credit-bearing program. This is a program for you to grow and learn, not a program to get a school credit. It's simply a tourist visa as needed. Great. I don't see any other questions. You can certainly let me know if there are further questions. As was mentioned, this is a great place to not just grow as a learner, but to make some social connections, to practice making those connections with peers from around the world. And, certainly true of great books, many students stay in touch, not just for weeks or months, but for years at great books, and, are still in touch as they head off to university. It is a uniquely kind and supportive community. And really, I say every year when I'm in the classroom, and if you come to Amherst, you'll see me sitting in the back of the classroom. I probably end up with a tear in my eye at the end of the week, because I really see at great books future leaders from around the world, sitting together. And it's like seeing the future unfold before you. You'll be involved in some incredible conversations, and you'll push yourself, and you'll be uncomfortable, and you'll get a preview of what it's like to navigate college life, but you'll do so in just a really warm, supportive environment that helps you succeed and step into your future having that success in your pocket. I hope to see you there.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Kitty. May I also request you to put down if there is an email ID which students can reach out to for their questions?
Absolutely. I will put 2 email addresses out here. First is India@greatbooksummer.com, which is our lovely host here. Certainly the experts at questions that may be more locally focused. And I'll add my own email address. You're very welcome to reach out to me. I think it's important that you as a student and a family and a counselor think this is the right match for the student who's interested in coming. And I'm always happy to, have my hat on as a Great Books administrator, having helped thousands of families over the years, or just as a mom, having seen my own kids thrive in the program as well. However I can help you, we are certainly glad to do so.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Katie, for your time this morning. It's pretty early in the morning for you today. It's about 7:10 a.m. right now. So thank you so much for joining us on this call and sharing information about the fantastic programs that you run. I'm sure many of these students would be interested in participating and learning more. And hopefully many of them will end up joining and leading towards becoming the future leaders of the society. So thank you so much, Katie, for your time, and have a great day.
Thank you for the invitation. Off to my second cup of coffee. Take care.